I collect old games, cartridges, discs, and even broken prototypes. I buy them from flea markets, thrift stores, anywhere I can find something untouched for decades. One afternoon, as I was coming back home from work, I saw a garage sale on the roadside. Maybe they have some gems buried in a heap of trash, so I took my chance and parked nearby the garage sale. An older woman sat in a lawn chair surrounded by boxes of junk. I asked if she had any video games. She stared at me for a long time before saying, "Well, there is one. You can have it. It's not mine anymore." She handed me a Nintendo 64 cartridge with no label, just deep scratches across the plastic like fingernail marks. Someone had carved a word into the back. Do not turn it on. When I got home, I took the cartridge into my hand as I approached my Nintendo 64. If there is a warning label that tells you not to turn it on, of course your curiosity will tell you to turn it on. So I popped the cartridge in. It booted normally. Nintendo logo, jingle, title screen. Except the sky behind Mario wasn't blue. It was pitch black. And when Mario said, "It's a me, Mario," it came out too slow, dragging like a warped tape. There was only one save file with it named Leave. Playtime 6 hours, 6 minutes, 6 seconds. I thought someone was trying too hard to be edgy. Maybe whoever owned this cartridge tried too hard to make it look like a creepypasta material object. So I hovered the Mario's pointer finger over it and loaded it. Mario appeared inside Peach's castle, but the camera was fixed behind him. I pressed the C button to adjust the camera angle, but it was locked. The paintings were all blank, just gray canvases with a faint shimmer, like static. There was no music playing. Instead, I hear a constant low hum, the kind you hear before a power surge. I ran to the courtyard, where the Boo Garden should be, but there were no boos, no fountain, no sky, just empty white fog. When I pressed start to open the pause menu, the options were gone. The only word there was, stay. I went back inside the castle. The lights flickered, but it was too realistic, almost fluorescent. I ran down the hallway and went back to the main lobby. I tried to open the door that goes to the upper floors, but it was locked. I tried another door, locked. I tried every other door, but they were all locked, except one. The big star door at the top of the stairs that leads to the first Bowser level. As I walked toward it, the screen distorted. Mario's footsteps slowed. Every few steps, his model would twitch, stretching slightly before snapping back, like a puppet under tension. When I opened the door, it didn't lead to the Bowser level. It was another hallway, long, narrow, and crooked. The textures were bleeding into each other. The torches on the wall flickered without sound. The most unsettling part about this was a portrait at the end of the hall. I remembered the last time that I played, it'd be a portrait of Peach that morphs into Bowser as you get closer. Instead, this portrait is of a young boy. As I walked closer to the portrait, his face began to twist unnaturally, and his eyes became darker until it became gaping black holes staring at me, and his skin began to ooze blood. Then, Mario's head twisted 180 on its own, mechanically, toward the camera. Then, a text box appeared. "Do you remember killing him?" The game froze for about 10 seconds. Then, the text changed. "He remembers you." When the screen faded back in, Mario was outside again, except it wasn't in the same courtyard. The trees were gone. The ground was covered in water that reflected the castle upside down. The reflection of the castle looked burned, windows black, roof collapsed, and in the middle of the water was a single statue. Mario, but not the Mario I knew. This one had no eyes, no mouth, just a blank model with a hand reaching upward. When I tried to move, the controller vibrated violently. The statue's hand began to rise pixel by pixel until it reached the surface. Then the sound started, faint crying, looped and reversed. The camera spun around Mario, glitching uncontrollably. When it stopped, something was standing behind him. Another Mario model, identical but frozen in a half-bent pose. It didn't move when I jumped, didn't vanish when I paused. It just stood there. When I walked forward, it followed, a few frames behind, lagging like a corrupted file. At one point, when I turned a corner, it was suddenly in front of me. The face was stretched open, no eyes, no teeth, just a wide polygonal void that pulsed like it was breathing. The sound glitched. Mario's usual jump grunt distorted into a low gurgling groan that looped. Text appeared again. "Why did you come back?" The camera zoomed into the shadow Mario's face until the entire screen went black. The screen stayed black for a long time. I thought the game had simply crashed until I heard something faint through the speakers. It was Mario's voice, but not from the game. It was behind me. "You shouldn't have loaded that." I turned my head around. There was a portrait of Peach's castle, decrepit and abandoned. In the center stood Mario, tattered, bloodied, and grotesque. I panicked and turned to look back at the TV, but it had changed. It now showed the castle courtyard, only now the statue's hand was gone. In its place, something was standing in the water. It had my face. I rushed towards the console to turn it off, unplugged it, and left it alone overnight. I quickly turned my head to look for the portrait that was behind me, but it was gone. The next morning, I turned on my Nintendo 64, just to be sure. The title screen read, "Super Mario 64, you left the door open." The file "Leave" was gone. In its place read, "Found." When I loaded it, there was no castle, no Mario, just the camera panning endlessly down the flooded courtyard. The reflection of the castle rippled slightly. Every few seconds, something, a hand, an arm, a face, broke the surface and sank again. Then the camera stopped, zoomed into the water, and I saw it. A faint, stretched out model of Mario floating beneath the surface, eyes open. He mouthed something silently just before the screen went black. "You opened the door. It's been days since I last touched the cartridge. I locked it in a drawer, but sometimes at night I hear the Nintendo 64 startup chime, distant, muffled, like it's coming from behind the wall. Last night, I woke up to water dripping on my forehead. There was no leak, no water source, but there was a portrait hanging on the ceiling. A portrait of a door. The door was slightly opened, revealing darkness within the cracks. When I focused on the shadow, I saw them. a pair of white eyes from Mario. He was smiling at me and said, "Thanks for playing. Now you're mine forever."